Usually whenever we're out on these trips like this, we're in two different cars, and short of the epic road trip we took out to Oregon and California and those states, but usually we're in two different cars. And one of the things we found is we're usually in remote locations where we don't have good cell phone coverage. So Jason's on AT&T, I'm on Verizon. It seems when I have good cell service, he doesn't have any. When he has good cell service, I don't have any. So we decided to make a pit stop here at the local super center and get walkie-talkies. That's just what every grown adult needs, is a good set of walkie-talkies. Break 19, you got your ears on? Good morning, everybody. It is a new month, it is a new year, and time for a new adventure. I am currently at Sand Wash Basin, which is home to I don't know if you call it a herd or a flock or what the proper terminology is, but a group of wild horses, and have come out here to photograph these horses. This is another one of those bucket list items that I've wanted to get out for quite a while since living in Colorado, and come out and take photos of wild horses, and finally had the opportunity to do so and jumped on it. So I am out here and got out here last night and spent the night in the tent, and it was sub-zero, so it was a chilly night, but I stayed nice and warm up in the tent, thankfully. I brought a mink blanket that I'd purchased back in Korea several years ago, and that just kept me warm as could be. And I got up this morning and shot the sunrise, and then I've been out here watching these wild horses roam and forage, and every once in a while get a little bit crazy with their antics. And so we don't know where we're headed to next. We need to get back into town and look at a map and figure out where. We do have an end goal of where we want to get to and what we want to photograph, but the journey to get there is up in the air right now, with trying to knock off a couple other locations and time the weather appropriately so that we get good clouds and maybe some snow at our final destination where we're going to. So once again, glad you're here, and hope you enjoy this video and follow along as we make our way to that destination and continue to take some beautiful pictures of not just colorful Colorado, but some of the other states around us. We're on US 40, just a couple miles east of the town of Dinosaur, Colorado, and the entrance to Dinosaur National Monument. We saw this old log cabin alongside the road, decided to stop and take some photos of it, and I slapped the IR filter on there and hoping that I get some decent black and white shots out of it. It's always amazing to me how a simple road sign can change your entire afternoon. We were driving north on US 191 on our way to the Flaming Gorge to try to shoot sunset photos there, when I saw a sign on the side of the road with an arrow saying Moonshine Arch to the left. We backtracked and turned off to a snowpacked dirt road, where we drove to the trailhead and spent the rest of the afternoon trying to find the trail in order to find Moonshine Arch. It was a difficult endeavor. The trail was not marked until later. Whenever I actually got up closer to the arch, could you actually see signs indicating you were in the right area. I climbed up a snow-covered hill looking for the arch and came back down a canyon and had no luck in finding it. It wasn't until I got back to the Jeep and pulled out my tablet and looked for a couple of websites that gave a better description of how you needed to go in order to get to Moonshine Arch. With those directions, I was able to find my way to the arch. Lighting is a little bit of a challenge, trying to get a decent shot of the arch in the sunset. So I'm going to move a little bit lower and focus more on the arch What I was really trying to do is capture the entire thing, including this point right here. But the sky is so bright out there, and I can't balance that brightness along with the darkness over here on this side. I could do it if I pulled out my graduated neutral density filter and threw it at an angle, but I'm really trying to avoid using that right now. That's just one more thing to unpack and pack back up, and I'd like to get off the trail pretty soon. So I'm gonna go ahead and move down to a lower area and just focus on the arch itself. It looks like I've missed the sunlight coming through, so it'll probably just be a shot of just the arch that maybe I'll turn into black and white to conceal the fact that I don't have any golden light on it. Well, I think the trip to Moonshine Arch was worth it. It was definitely a challenge getting up here, but I think it was worth the work that I put into doing so. I'm gonna pack up now and head back down to the Jeep and head off to where we're gonna camp for the night. Hopefully get a nice sunrise shot at Flaming Gorge and continue on to our final destination. Good morning. I am standing here at the beautiful Flaming Gorge Reservoir, still on the Utah side of it, haven't crossed into Nevada or into Wyoming yet. Absolutely just gorgeous scenery up here. We got in last night, there was snow flurries and thought, boy, we were going to see a beautiful sunrise, and woke up to perfectly clear skies and still got a decent sunrise out of it. I'm really hopeful for the shots that I took. I was going to shoot some video of it this morning while we were shooting the sunrise, but it was actually so cold that my camera wouldn't turn on. And tried hooking up my external battery pack to it, and it just started flashing lights at me. It was too cold to work. So it was a frosty morning this morning, but it was totally worth it to get up here and see this incredible sight. If you're ever in the area, you have got to come out here and see the Flaming Gorge. I'm at the canyon overlook, and beautiful views of Red Canyon down there, and and the Green River flowing down into up the Flaming Gorge Dam. The dam was built back in 1964. It's part of the Colorado River Storage Project, and stores a lot of water. I think like 3.4 million acre feet of water, which is just an incredible amount of volume. The water is not iced over. That it moves so much and it's so deep through here that it doesn't ice over that much. And so we were really concerned when we decided to come out here whether or not it was going to have just, snow on top of a frozen lake. But fortunately got out here and just saw clear water. And like I said, I think we were able to take some good photos of it. Even if we didn't, the scenery here was beautiful. And this is definitely a place that I'll have to come back up to with some different weather conditions and hopefully get that just magical sunrise, maybe a magical sunset as well, and of course, dramatic sky with some beautiful thunderclouds would be really great too. But what an adventure it's been so far. We are going to head on up to the final destination today, so it's going to be about a 4.5-hour drive up there. Should be there in time for sunset and take a picture of some of my favorite mountains. We'll see you there. Well, a day of driving up into Wyoming through some just beautiful country and made it to our destination. We pulled into the town of Jackson and then cut west on Wyoming 22 to cut over Teton Pass and are now in Idaho on the west side of the Teton Mountains. Right now I've got this beautiful view of this snow-packed road that is closed and available for cross-country skiers and snowmobilers and snowshoers and hikers, and it leads your eye right up to the peak of Grand Teton. There's some clouds moving across the face of it. I'm hoping one of the clouds is kind of obscuring the main peak right now. I'm hoping that clears away as well as get a little bit of color in the sky, but we think that shooting on the west side during sunset is going to be the right answer. We were up here a couple months ago in September, right around on Labor Day weekend, and we shot everything from the east side to include sunset shots, and didn't really, in my opinion, get the results that we were really hoping for. One, we didn't have any clouds in the sky, just boring sky, non-dramatic whatsoever, and two, the lighting of it really made it difficult being on the east side of the Tetons. So when we got into Wyoming and realized instead of going to Grand Teton National Park and trying to shoot the mountain for sunset, let's go ahead and bounce over here into Idaho, and that's what we've done. And man, what a great decision. The light of the setting sun is just hitting those mountains right now just perfectly, and I hope it's going to turn into a great photo. We are in Grand Teton National Park, and I'm actually here at the cabin that was used in one of the opening scenes of the movie Shane. And it was an old original pioneer cabin that was constructed and is quite dilapidated now, but I'm using that as my foreground element. And then behind me, in front of me, behind me is a bunch of weeds. In front of me is the beautiful Grand Tetons. One of my favorite mountain ranges. I think they're just absolutely gorgeous. The texture, the details that they have on the peaks of each of the mountains. It's just absolutely one of my favorite things to photograph. And That was amazing. We were traveling down the road away from the cabin, and right there in the field was about 6 or 7 moose. And I mean, they were close enough. We jumped out, threw the telephoto lens on, started taking pictures of them, got pictures of the moose with the Grand Tetons as the backdrop, and then I started focusing on another moose off a little bit further in the distance, see if I could get a photo of that moose. And there were 2 of them, and then they started going head to head. And then next thing you know, they're both up on hind legs, kicking their front legs at each other, and oh my God, amazing. We drove down to the National Elk Refuge, and a gentleman I was speaking to this morning when we were shooting pictures of the moose, he recommended we come out here to this location called Miller's Butte, and said the bighorn sheep are out here. So we drove out here in order to see if we could find some bighorn sheep, and sure enough we did. Now, just beautiful. Absolutely, that guy, he had some good size to him. He'd been eating well, and so we went out there and photographed that, and on the way out there saw this what they call the Miller home site, one of the old home sites here in the Jackson Hole area, and framed right behind it are the Teton Mountains. So I've got my 70-200 set up, and I'm using a telephoto lens because what I really want to get is what they call compression. I could go up close to the house and I could shoot it with a wide angle, get the entire scene, but doing that would cause the mountains to look so far behind the house, and that's not the look that I want to go. So I've got a telephoto set up, and right now I'm zoomed in to about 170 millimeters, 160, 170 millimeters in there. And what that's going to do is it's going to make the house and the mountains look like they're right up close to each other. And that's one of the effects at shooting telephoto. And that's one of the reasons why I have this lens as a landscape photographer, is because it allows me to take landscapes and get that compression effect. Now, it's middle of the day, lighting is not ideal for taking photos whatsoever, and so another reason why I bought that infrared filter that I have is so that I can really focus more on bright, sunny day photography. And it is a bright, sunny day today. So the goal is to actually shoot this with the IR filter. I've also got my graduated neutral density filter in there in order to darken the sky up a little bit, and then convert to black and white. And I think a combination of the bright white snow, the mountains in the background with the snow on them, this house sitting right here, and then it's framed perfectly by the 2 sets of trees. You got the lone tree on the left, and then you got a clump of trees on the right. A little bit of old fence out there. I think it's going to make for a nice scene. That's kind of the goal for what I have for photography. And again, you know, I bought that IR filter with the intent that I can shoot more during the day in bright sunny conditions when most photographers shy away from doing it. Right now, I think it's about a 30-second exposure. I'm going to go ahead and put the camera into bulb mode, and I'm going to actually go for about a 40-second exposure and see how that does, and then make adjustments to my settings, either the aperture or the ISO at that point, just to get it where I want it. Let's check it out. All right, I took a couple shots here, and hopefully I get the black and white shot that I was hoping for. A little bit concerned. The sky's got a little bit too much haze, but I'm hopeful it's still going to turn out for a nice black and white shot. Won't know until we get it on the computer, and that's going to be a couple days from now because we still got a lot of photography to do. There, look through the viewfinder. You suck. Here's a case of Benji being stupid. I saw this beautiful little creek here, and the water is pretty warm actually. You can see the steam coming off it. Warm is a relative term right now. And it leads right up there to the Tetons. And so I see this creek and I think, I'm gonna stand in the middle of the creek and take a photo. So I jump out, throw all my gear on my tripod, and just go feet first into this creek. And the water isn't that deep, and it didn't go over my boots because it wasn't that deep, but then I started sinking down into that mud, and next thing you know, the water is over my boots. My feet are soaking wet, my pants are soaking wet, and had to jump out of the water real quick. And come to find out, if I just walk up here just a little bit more, I was able to get pretty much the same shot without having to stand in the creek. So Not one of my brighter moments out here taking photos, but hopefully this photo that I took makes up for the fact that I was dumb and jumped in the creek. Well, I'm sad to say that our time here in Grand Teton National Park and up in Wyoming is going to have to come to an end. There's a storm coming in tonight that is probably going to ruin any good chances of photos tomorrow. We're afraid that the cloud cover is just going to obscure everything, and although having nice winter weather elements would make for some great winter shots up here, it looks like it may just destroy all the visibility and ruin that. On top of that, we also have to concern ourselves over whether or not we can get out of here and get back on the trip home. So taking a couple more photos here, and then going to start heading back and start making our way back to Colorado and back to family that loves us. And currently shooting one more shot here at the Snake River overlook. After this morning's sunrise, we went into town to Jackson and ate some breakfast at the Jackson Hole Roasters. If you're ever in the Jackson area, you want some coffee, you want just awesome breakfast, then highly recommend you go to Jackson Hole Roasters. The staff there are very friendly. The food is amazing. So definitely, if you're in the area, stop in there and give them some business. But had some breakfast and needed to clear up some space on my memory card because it was full from all the photos I've taken between the wild horses, the moose yesterday, there's all the scenic locations we've been to. So I cleared up the space on the memory card and wanted to come back out here and try and get a black and white shot real quick of the Snake River overlook. And I've got the IR filter on again so I can convert it to black and white, and hopefully it's going to turn out to be a nice photo. And once I capture this, we got one more area we want to scope out for our next trip up here, and then we're going to be on the road and back to Colorado.